I'm speaking now with Kyle Thrash, who is a film director. You're located out of Philly, right?
I am located out of Brooklyn.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, I lived in Philly for 5 years when I went to college.
How long have you been doing this?
Uh, I went to school at Drexel University and I studied film there. And during college, I I started doing music videos, but like at that time, it was kind of that weird stage where like YouTube wasn't like really a huge thing yet. Kind of like I made my first music video maybe in like 2009 or 2008, and like YouTube was kind of like wasn't really like Vivo didn't exist as much, like it wasn't as big, and like people weren't putting music videos to, at least to my knowledge, bands that I liked weren't really putting music videos like on YouTube. Like that wasn't a thing that it was on my radar. So I didn't think music videos were a thing anymore, right? So I grew up in that like age of like coming home after school and like watching TRL and being like music videos are the coolest thing in the world, uh and it would be so cool to, see the band for, a little bit brief of time because that was before you could watch them on the internet. So it was like you had to watch them on TV. So there was that period where music videos didn't have a place to live. So I didn't think it was a viable form of like me making a career out of it or even doing it just for fun. I just wasn't really doing it. And especially bands that you cover or bands that I like, and like there's just they weren't doing it. There was no outlet for it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It was that transitional phase. So anyway, I didn't know I wasn't doing music videos. I didn't think that was something that I was, yeah, like, I thought I could do at college. And then this artist RJ D2 uh was doing, I guess, a record after school with one of the music industry teachers, and was like, he's a Philly based artist, and he's like does like hip hop producing. I don't know if you know who he is.
Hmm.
And he was like, "Hey, I want like like a young college kid to make a music video for me." And at that point, like I was a huge fan of his. Like I really like underground hip hop, and I grew up like listening to like Atmosphere and all the Rhyme Sayer stuff, and like Aesop Rock. And so when RJD2 like hit me up, like I like got off the phone and like puked in a trash can. I thought it was like the coolest thing. Like I'm like, maybe 19 years old, and I was like, Mike, this is it. Like it's happening. We built this rig that was on this chest where we put like a DSLR, and that was the other thing. Like when DSLRs came out, it made so easy for us to start making like high, definition videos, um, very easily. So like, once I got my hand on like a Canon 7D, it was just kind of like, well, here we go. Like let's start making more videos. So I did an RJD2 video, and then I that went well, and after college, I realized that's what I wanted to do, and I did a bunch of like shit jobs, and then I got my friend my old roommate started working at Wind Up Records, and they're known for like a lot of like butt rock bands like Creed and Evanescence and Seether. Not things that like necessarily I'm into, but they were trying to make a transitional phase with the label, and I was part of that transition, and I they basically hired me at 22, so right out of college, to run their video department. So
Wow.
I was like, holy guacamole, this is crazy. They brought me up to New York, basically offered me a job on the spot. They were like, you're that young energy we want. That was about 4 years ago that happened. And I worked there for about a year and a half. I got to do like I got to go in the studio with with a lot of like cool bands that they were bringing in. This bands I connected to were like this band Young Guns from the UK, the Virgin Marys from the UK, this band the Griswolds from Australia, this band Strange Talk from Australia. So it's like a lot of foreign bands, and then but then yeah, like I got to work on Evanescence stuff, and I got to work on Seether stuff, and I got to work on stuff for OAR, which again is not necessarily like totally my cup of tea, but I think it's really interesting to always be able to work with something that doesn't fit into your lane of taste and like see what you can do with it. It kind of broadens your horizons and see how you like see what you can bring to a project like that, you know? And then I started getting my own contacts, and the record label was doing not so hot, and they were kind of like, hey, you know, we're not sure how long we can keep you around, because we're kind of like outsourcing stuff. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm ready to like move on. And that was about like 2.5 years ago. So I've been for about 2.5 years, and it's definitely been the best 2.5 years of my life. So
That was so many cool things to hear. I was like mentally keeping track of all the things I wanted to talk about in there, but like
yeah,
some of like we're about the same age, so
okay,
first off, like I was gonna say, like growing up, yeah, in high school, like you'd go home, you'd watch whatever music videos came out, like
yeah,
that was a big thing, like because
it was great.
the internet was so slow and shitty
So
at that
slow.
time.
It was dial up. It took like, I mean, like, don't forget about watching videos. I mean, like, just
Yeah,
looking at pictures of bands took
yeah,
like
yeah. That was like
the JPEG to load.
you're waiting for the dialogue to load
Yeah,
down the page. You're just like, but that was a big change for you, and just like you said, like just being able to post your music videos on YouTube, like
yeah. YouTube provided a platform that kind of the same way, like I guess like downloading did. Like the internet just made music and the whole industry so accessible. I mean,
mhm.
from being able to, you know, from social media, being able to connect to people, but also the idea that yeah, I mean, before there was no point for a band like, you know, Daylight, you know, or Superheaven to make a music video. You know, they're a great band, but like they're not. It's not going to get out, and it's not going to get seen. So like for kids like us, I felt like I would watch I would watch MTV, and it would obviously mainly be like mainstream stuff. So you see like a Britney Spears music video or you know, a P Diddy video, and Ben Stiller would be in a P Diddy video, you know, and you'd be like, this is, I can't make this. You know what I mean? Like there
Yeah,
was no like, I wasn't like, oh sure, you know, out of college I'm gonna make music videos with Ben Stiller, you know, and Puff Daddy. Like that
yeah,
wasn't a thing that crossed my mind. I was
yeah,
like, that's gonna take forever to get there because those were multi-million-dollar music videos. I mean,
yeah,
the bar was so high, and I mean, it was literally commercials. Like
yeah.
you would basically get 3 minutes of airtime on TRL, and you know you would be able to promote anything you wanted in there. So music videos are commercials for bands, right? It's a way to kind of like to promote themselves and kind of get a message across that the music can, and it's a visual form of kind of, you know, the expression of the song. But bands of that caliber are like, you know, and artists of that caliber kind of use it as a different way to kind of like make money, and you know. And so for me, I watched music videos, and I absolutely loved them, but I never thought that, oh yeah, like I'll get out of school and this will be a thing, because you'd see, I don't know if you remember like the making of the video, and guys like Joseph Kahn, who does all the Taylor Swift videos now. Joseph Kahn did all the big Britney Spears videos and like the really big pop videos. You know, he's a great director, and you'd see these sets, and you'd see these like this huge crew, and you see what would go into it, and I never thought like, you know, no, like there's no way that that can be done. So the technology of cameras getting you know, so good that like, you know, cameras like, you know, Red and DSLRs and, you know, Sony cameras that you can go out and shoot digital, literally, you know, edit it on your computer. I mean, everything was changing at the right time for me to like be able to do this, but it wasn't a plan. Like it was never, my plan was to just go to college and not fail out. You know what I mean? Like just hopefully get through it. And around sophomore year, it like clicked for me. That was a moment for me where I was like, film is exciting. Like I can go out and do this and have an impact. So I guess realizing that it's not like I don't need to make feature films right away at my age, you know, at the age of 19, you know, even now at 26, you know, I feel like if I can just do something and have a small impact and feel like I can create something that's mine and get it out to the world and for people to see that, that's all I want to do.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, definitely. Like all of a sudden, it was like because the 90s,
Yeah.
like, yeah, like, we are the same age. I'm 26 too. In the
Yeah.
90s, like, you'd watch a music video and you'd be like, that was a $2 million production. Like,
Yeah.
I have $30. Like, what? Like, there's no way
Right.
that.
There's no way.
And the digital film then was so shit. So,
Yeah.
like, anything that you made digital would just look bad. But now, like,
Yeah.
you can almost do exactly the same stuff with it, and it's just, and that combined with like what you said, like, you can DIY make a film now, like,
It's kind of like that idea where you remember when like everyone was getting like the Mac laptops and everyone had GarageBand. So it was like suddenly like everyone had a band then. You know what I mean? Because you could put out music and record it for the first time. Like you didn't need to book studios. Like there there's so much of technology that is in our hands now. I mean, just with our cell phones. I mean, you can
yeah.
record a song on your phone and put it up on the internet for the world to hear within an hour.
And I think this interview is a great example of that because, like, this interview right now is just occurring just through laptop cameras and the internet, basically. So it's
Right.
like in 1995, there's no way that this is occurring. So why don't we talk real quickly about some of these recent projects that you've done? The big
Yeah.
one that I think that a lot of people are talking right now is the modern baseball, like, little mini documentary, tripping in the dark, right? It's called.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. And I guess what gave you the idea to do that? Was that something that came from the band that they were looking to make?
No, so I met Sean, the drummer, when I was at college at Drexel. He dated a friend of mine, and so I did their first video when I was working at Wind Up Records. I was just like, I got given the record, I couldn't stop listening to it, and I was like, I need to do a video for you guys, so let me know when you want to do a video. We did a video for their song The Weekend, and we did it for $600. All $600 went to renting a Red camera, and we just shot it. We shot it over I think 2 days, and as soon as I met the other guys, I was like, they're my favorite band to work with. They're the most gracious, humble, sweet people I've ever met. I can't say enough great things about that band. Like, they're amazing. So because I had gotten so close with the band, with doing a bunch of music videos for them, we were working on, I knew they were recording the new album Holy Ghost in this past October. And, I knew they had canceled the Australia tour that they wanted to do because Bren's mental health, but I wasn't sure exactly what that meant. He basically told me what happened, and we both broke down. I mean, like, hearing one of your friends tell you that, they almost ended their life, I mean, that's like a really difficult thing to hear. And he asked me if I wanted to come down and talk to him about this and kind of record some of the stuff in the studio. It was super casual. I mean, it was just like, why don't you come down? We'll talk a little bit about this, and you'll record some stuff in the studio. We'll see what it'll be. And I did that in October, and I had that conversation with Brendan on the porch. And I came back to New York, and I knew that I had shot something that was really special, and I had to give it proper credit and build it up so it has some sort of legs where it's not just this little interview thing with some B-roll over it. So the hardest challenge with that for me creatively was like, how do I tell my friend's story, right? Because he had the confidence to say, Kyle, I think you should tell this, and this is how I want to tell people that this is what happened. And I mean, that's such a responsibility that at times I didn't know what to do. It was a really tough process. So came back to New York and thought about it and sent them some ideas. We just weren't clicking. I knew that I couldn't just make it this emotional thing that had this one note, right? We're just playing one note all the way through. Like, this is someone that had went through some shit, and I didn't want it to be that. And I also wanted people to connect to it that didn't know the band. So I made that little intro part, which I tried to do that in a way. I was like, well, no one wants to hear about a band like talk about themselves, and no one wants to like just like hear the history. Like they're not a band that's been around forever. So I was like, well, how can we do this in a way that doesn't come off like pretentious? And I was like, well, why don't we do it in a way that's way more pretentious by having a voice actor come in and do that? So at that point, it was kind of humorous. So I went back to Philadelphia in January, and I basically had like a 2-hour conversation with the band about the history of like how everything came to be. And I'm one of the closest members or friends to them, and I've kind of been there since the beginning. And I didn't know about the dog poop, and I didn't know certain things, but I was like, wow. So the only reason the first time you guys talked is because Brendan stepped in dog shit and Jake had a pair of shoes. That's ridiculous. Like I was like, that's the craziest like how two people meet. Like that's so interesting. Like what if there wasn't dog shit? Like what if you stepped over it? Would the band have existed? Like that's crazy, you know? So it all happened through dog shit. Like that's insane to me. So I found that really interesting. And then I wanted to cover other themes in the record. Obviously, the record's not out, but when you listen to it, it's there's two parts. And Jake talked a lot about his grandfather's passing and meeting his now girlfriend Flynn, and I wanted to cover that. And when I started talking to him, we started diving deeper, and that was really interesting. And it kind of it happened really organically, which I think is the thing that makes it so special because we weren't like, we need to make this thing, to talk about this issue or to talk about, like, it just was like, Brendan called me, he goes, hey man, this is what's going on in my life. We should talk about it. And you figure it out. They're the best because they have such trust in me to just be like, they're like, go figure what you need to out. Go make whatever you want to make. And I sent them a bunch of ideas, and they were like, "This is great, like go with it." And I brought in an editor, Caitlin Carr, who was amazing, and then John Komar, who did all the animation and shot it with me. I shot all the studio stuff, and he came down and shot all the extra B-roll and shot all the Philly band interviews. So again, it was like, I shot with Soupy and Tom and Will and Mike, and I was like, well, the way I talk about this band and the way other people talk about this band is they talk about them with such pride, and that they love them, and Cam from Sorority Noise. And I was like, how do we capture all that? Because I was like, the band talking about themselves being great, I was like, that's not gonna work. So I shot with all these great people that just wanted to talk about the band and have. I mean, we could have made a 2-hour documentary of just stories of like, how they all met, because it's amazing, these stories that I was told. Yeah, we got these great interviews, and everyone wanted to be involved. And then Cam did the score, which was amazing to work with him, and it was a natural fit for him to come aboard. So it's just a testament to like them, because they got all these great people to come together and make this amazing thing. And I'm so proud of it, because it came so organically, and it's just this piece that now it's so great, people like you and other bands that are just, are really championing in it. And it's so great to see that, because it came from a real place. It wasn't like the record label was like, we need a documentary. Like, it just was like conversations. And it's really nice that people are responding to it the way they are. It's very humbling. Wow. And very great.
That is almost like totally unbelievable that it would come together just because like sort of you were filming something, and then some more stories would come out. And the beginning part where you tell the story of the band in kind of like a storybooky way, I thought was like my favorite part of the whole thing. Like as a total feature, I mean, it's under 20 minutes. But there are like many parts to this thing, and you kind of created something that doesn't really exist. Like band documentaries for like punk bands that aren't like I don't know, like the Clash, like doesn't exist. Like people don't tell these stories.
I mean, they just surround themselves with really talented people, and um, they're so gracious to everyone that people want to keep working for them. And I think other bands, should kind of use that model. Like surround yourself with talented people from the beginning. People that want to make your T-shirts, people that want to, make your album art, people that want to take photos of you, people that want to make your music videos. I mean, modern baseball uses the same people every time. I mean, it's just that consistency that I think is really great about them because um, as they progress, the whole team progresses. Like I mean, from where the weekend was to where I am now is night and day. And we haven't really talked about it, but we just shot a new music video this weekend. And Emily was on the shoot with me, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. I mean, I hope so. And it has like some really heavy content, but it's I don't know. I think it'll be cool, and it's that video compared to the weekend. I think will be. I mean, we shot Alexa Mini on Cook lenses, and we had this great DP, Bob Blankmeyer, who does Budweiser commercials. So like, it was such a steal to get him to be a DP, and it was just an amazing team. So I'm really excited to share that.
Awesome. So I guess we can also talk about this other music video that you just released for Tiny Moving Parts that I thought was one of the cooler music videos that I've seen in a while. It just went through so many different phases. That was for the song Headache, right?
Yeah, well, thanks for saying that.
Yeah, it was
Um,
really wild. So just if you've never seen this video, like they go through all these different like things that they wanted to do, like bucket list items almost, basically, right? So
yeah.
so which of those was maybe your most fun to film?
Well, I never skydived before, um, so jumping out of a plane was pretty cool. It was the most fun I had shooting a video for a while because it was like it took me back to my roots of like it was me, a camera guy, and a producer, and like an AC. So there was like a four-person crew, and we had no permits, and we were just running around trying to get things, and it made me just kind of fall in love with kind of that process again, and just kind of like the no set, no lighting type environment. And those guys are just extremely fun to work with. They have so much energy, and they just want to have fun. And I think it's for me, it's just like I just want to capture that. I don't know if you've met the band before, but they just want to have fun. That's it. That's so. The last video we did, we had them like jumping in a pool, and then in this one, I kind of came up with an idea that just let them be them. I was like, "What do you guys want to do?" And they're like, "Well, we want to drink beer and skydive. Like, what? How else can we do? What else? How can we make a video around that?" I was like, "Well, what about if we just did everything you want to do?" And it makes it fun. I mean, for me, and Triple Crown was nice enough to give us, a decent budget where we could just do what we wanted. And Fred Fellman's amazing for just trusting in us to go do what we wanted to do. And yeah, we just had a lot of fun. It just came from like a natural place of like, hey, I make a lot of videos, I make a lot of stuff. Like, I'd rather like instead of making this into like a stress thing, why don't we just go have fun? And I think that comes across. You know what I mean? It definitely, and the song is a lot of fun, and it comes from like, it comes from like that place of like watching, Blink-182 videos that we grew up on, where it's like, oh my God, they look like they're having the most fun, and that's kind of where it comes from. Yeah,
So going back to like your overall film career,
yeah.
who would you say are like some other filmmakers that you look up to or gather some inspiration from?
It's difficult because to say like to pin it directly, but like I don't know if the thing that I think our community suffers from is resources. I mean, a lot of the bands that we like don't make a lot of money, which means they can't make a lot of like music videos aren't money doesn't make them great. It just gives them the opportunity to be great, if that makes sense. Like, I've made a lot of music videos for no money that have turned out well, and I've also made a lot of music videos with a lot of money that didn't turn out well. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good just because there's money, but it does give you the opportunity to try new things and work with new people and work with other artists and create a team around you, that it's not just like you and a camera guy running around, that it's like you and 20 to 30 people, and you got this great location, this great talent. So so unfortunately, a lot of the directors that are kind of my peers that are doing stuff in the community that we're doing in, I think we all struggle from the fact of like not being able to have the resources sometimes to do the things that we want to do. I mean, we grew up watching these great videos on TRL, but we can't make any of those because there's no money. So the flip side of that, the directors I like the most, there's this guy named Hiro Moai. He's done like all the Childish Gambino videos. He's done Queens of the Stone Age. He's 2 years older than me, and you probably were like, oh my god, he's done all my favorite videos. Like if you paid attention to the music community in the last like 4 years, this guy is so consistent. It's unbelievable. Then there's guys like Saman Kesh, who only do a couple of videos for like placebo and or placebo, I mean, and just make amazing content. Those are the guys that like he makes great videos and then goes off and just made like that Taco Bell Super Bowl commercial. So like he's in a different world than I am. But he's great. And then AG Rojas is probably like my favorite. He just did a video for Jack U, which is Skrillex and Diplo. But he did a bunch of videos for this band Spiritualized, which are amazing. And he did this Purity Ring video that's amazing. And he's just this amazing director. Same with Vincent Haycock. Last year, I don't know if you saw any of the Florence and the Machine videos, but they were like, it was the best rollout I had ever seen for like an artist since like the MTV days, where like there was 6 music videos that were all shot on 16 millimeter film by Steve Honest, who's an amazing DP, and they crafted this story that was so amazing. I encourage everyone to check out the Florence and the Machine videos from last year. They were mind-blowingly good. Vincent Haycock's an amazing director. He's great. So from that side of things, those are the music video directors that I look up to, that I'm just like gushing at, because they get to work with these. They're extremely talented. They have all these resources. They work with these great artists, that have bigger budgets, and they get to do great things with them. And actually, I look up to them, and I'm like, wow, I'm so blown away by their work. But in terms of like film directors, I would say that just like Aronofsky and Woody Allen, and I mean the Mobo stuff. Like we always talk about Zach Braff and Woody Allen. There's like two guys that we're always like talking about, and like Charlie Kaufman's work for like the modern baseball stuff. But the stuff that I think, yeah, those guys have definitely like stylistically influenced me a lot. And then and Aronofsky's movies, like I'd say like Requiem for a Dream, Eternal Sunshine, Garden State are all like movies that like influenced my style.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
wow, those are more like visually driving movies,
I'm glad we have some of the same taste.
So I would say like, I mean, me and you can. That's a whole. I mean, could talk hours about just film, but in terms of people that influence like my style, I would definitely say like visual directors like Michel Gondry and Spike Jonze and Aronofsky, and even Fincher, in a sense of just like his color palette. He shoots red. He doesn't shoot film. So like I can be like, okay, I have the same red as him. I have the same lenses. It's like, how is he doing this? And I think the biggest thing that we on our level like lack is resources for lighting, because they have these amazing lighting departments that can just light it, like paint the scene with light,
Yeah. No, I would definitely agree that lighting is like a thing that people maybe who haven't never really worked with film wouldn't really think about, because like a lot of people assume like a lot of movies are lit by the sun, like natural lighting, which is terrible. You can't like film. You could barely
Yeah.
film with natural lighting, right? So, but
Unless you're Emmanuel Lubezki, who's
yeah,
shot The Revenant, with no lights.
just because like he just wanted to like push what you could do, but
Right. Yeah.
like so like a small film crew, you're not gonna have lights, so you're basically at the mercy of like the sun at that point, which is really like tough, like that is one area that I would say maybe like cameras have gone to the point where people can start to really afford cameras, but like you can't use your house like lamps, to like
Yeah.
a scene.
It's the Alexa shoots really well in natural light, and you can get a beautiful image with natural light. By the best image you can get with a digital camera in natural light. But that camera is, $100,000, so it's not a consumer camera. And just to rent it is like $1,500 or $2,000, and you need all the insurance. And yeah, I mean, it makes it tough. Like I would say, probably the videos that you and I like aren't getting shot, like on our community, aren't getting shot on the Alexa. They're getting shot on DSLRs or Sony cameras or Blackmagics or Red Epics,
Hmm.
are probably what they're getting shot on. And all those cameras should have lights. And, again,
Yeah.
you just don't have a good lighting team usually. It's usually the DP that's doing the lighting. So you usually don't get like these really great images that are like dynamic. You sometimes get more like concert lighting or like really contrasty images because they're not, everything's just like thrown. It's like source lighting. So
Yeah. But I think we talked for like a great long length, and
yeah,
I'm gonna have to edit this shit up. So I'm
yeah,
sure you know how fun that will be. But
yeah. I'm
yeah,
sorry I kept talking and we were rambling on
no,
things.
dude, like this is what I love. I mean, it was great talking to you, and it
Great
was
talking
just
to you too, man.
yeah.